I am a Web3 cryptocurrency expert. I'm in Austin, Texas right now. I'm going to be here for about a year because people seem to come to Austin for a little while and network and then unfortunately head out because, stuff is expensive here. I'm crammed into this little bathroom. My partner's having a meeting in the other room, so that's why I'm here. And what I want to talk to you about is what I always want to talk about. I want to talk about what I call the real Web3, and and I and I have different ways to show you this, right? Like when I go to an Ethereum conference, I'll talk about EVM and I'll show you how to burn things into not Ethereum, but other currencies that work like Ethereum. For example, there's one of them that's called optimism, right? And that's okay, you could burn things into optimism or Polygon. In this case, I'm using this generation 1 currency called Digibyte. And you see there's words here, right? You can see that words, right? Government. You see the word government right there? Okay. So this is text that you can read that's in here. And the reason why I found this, the reason why I'm saying this is easy to find, is I use these anchor words like this one, this address here that's all D's, right? So anybody that sends something to that, anybody else that looks at this, monitors this address would see it. It's a low-level communication system. It's a low-level unregulated communication bus where everybody's identity can be verified with their crypto wallet. Okay, that means something to some people, but so and what I'm showing you here is that by crafting the transaction myself, I'm able to not only put these words here that are again indexed because they are in fact addresses, right? So they're indexed by this block explorer whose business model is to do such things, right? And it can all be derived from the ledger itself, right? So because I happen to have a copy of the Digibyte ledger, which is right here, I can find these things myself without having to go to these different sites. Okay, and having this also is how I write stuff out to here. Now, I don't know why this is the case, but doing this is, I would say, systemically discouraged by what I would call Web 2 or Web 2.8 or something. So, and I don't want to sound like some sort of wacko. I really don't. But I do think that at some point you have to just point out the obvious, right? That this is very powerful, and for whatever reason, it's just out of reach. People keep it just out of reach. I like to compare it to one time one of my neighbors said that, she was real busy, she had a lot of kids, and one of them wanted to learn to walk, and she kept kicking their feet so that they would remain crawling because life would be easier for her if her kids kept crawling and weren't walking. Okay, so I am all about us being able to walk. Okay, now I want to show you this. This is my Koinomi wallet. Okay, and this wallet allows me to have various crypto. You see, I've got some Zcash right now. Okay, that's it, and technically that's a security crypto, but not. But you have to put a little bit of work into it to turn that part on. Okay, so what I'm holding here is not in any way secure in the way that Monero would be just out of the chute. I guess I should have I should have transferred it to Monero, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I have it in Zcash. I used to have it in Digibyte. And if I had Digibyte in here right now, which I have in my other wallet, which I'm running right on my computer, right? So you can run this Digibyte Core thing on your computer and do all the things that I do. This Koinomi wallet is easier, but for whatever reason, it doesn't let you send to more than one address at a time, right? So you can't hack these words into one transaction. I could hack them into a series of transactions, right? But again, that's the message can get through. We have Byzantine fault tolerance, okay? But there is a bunch of people who are just kicking at your feet so that you are not allowed to walk, okay? And one of the most interesting things, and I was talking to somebody and he says, "Oh, well, this is my innovation or my invention, let's say, this idea of words here." Okay, you know what's not my idea? This thing right here, the op return field. Okay, you can just put. You see, I have a HTML. I have a YouTube video there. This either is one that's talking about Palantir, or it's a Grateful Dead video, because I'm kind of hippy dippy, right? One of the two. Anyway, I decided I burned a video into all of this. I believe that this proves that this digibyte has intrinsic value, but people will argue with me over even what the term intrinsic means. So maybe I might say that having this has a real world value, which would be obvious because I can again burn little bits of this. That's what I'm doing here. I'm burning all of this. I'm not paying nobody, there's not somebody that right, there's not somebody associated with this address that's like, all D's, let's say, that is gaining anything from this. And I think that's the issue, right? Is that this true Web3 cuts out the middleman, right? So that's so that's what this does. But this Koinomi wallet doesn't allow this, it doesn't allow more than one transaction, and it doesn't allow you to send these op return fields. And so I can come up with different ways, different little codes to encode data, right? Like another thing I work with is Vocaroo, which is, it's, you might argue that it can compete with YouTube, but it's just audio, right? You can record an audio, and so I'll record an audio track and then put the link in down here or something like that. So now I've once you have this language system, see here I have one of these addresses for the Vocaroo track, but it's sort of encrypted. It's not, in order to read this Vocaroo one-line message, you have to do a little bit of work. And again, I feel like this is just it's frustrating to me because we say one thing, like that, this pure research is of value, right? But I think that, for example, OpenAI, you know, tells investors that there is value in AI, that they'll make a profit, right, from giving away AI to us, because I'm certainly not paying for OpenAI. They're going to give away AI in the way that Facebook gave away social media, right? But here I am simply saying that Web3, what I call Web3, is based on this idea that you can use cryptocurrency as a messaging bus. This is more like a Baofeng radio, a little radio that an unregulated. That's what a Baofeng radio is. It's an unregulated Chinese radio that I can use to to listen to things. I could I guess hit a repeater. It doesn't have a very long antenna or anything, right? Anyway, that's just a comparison. What I'm saying is there's clearly a value in crypto that is not based on pumping up the price. It's uh, it's not based on some emotional thing. It's not that it has some sort of emotional value. It has a value in the same way that a box of ink pens has a value. Okay, you buy a box of ink pens and you slowly consume those ink pens. And that is the value, and I guess I'm not supposed to use the word intrinsic, but there's a value in the box of ink pens that you've bought. There's a value in the $50 or however much I have in Digibyte, because that's a lifetime of these little transactions for me and my few dozen best friends, right? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And and again, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that know what I'm saying, and they're just playing dumb. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Stop playing dumb. Okay? Stop playing dumb. We don't have time for this anymore. We gotta get to the next part. Okay? Hey, it seems like this is the end. I'm gonna cut this off.